All right, everybody. In this one, we have a beautiful, I think it's a 2000 Toyota Yaris. This isn't focusing. And apparently it just doesn't start. So, Echo, sorry, 2000 Echo. And apparently it doesn't start. So we're going to go and crank this car over. Let me put this onto a wider zoom so you guys can really see what's going to be going on. We're going to scan for codes. And hopefully we can find out what is going on with this car. All right, so the car does start, runs extremely rough. It does start, but then it stalls out. Now, what I noticed is that the car, or vehicle, I should say, oh, my scanner is working. Hope so. Is that the vehicle will not start with the key, and I'm not seeing a security light onto the dash. Security light here isn't flashing. If I turn it off, I lock. Security light is not flashing, which it should be. Okay. And when I take and I crank with the key, oh, it actually started. But then it stalls out. All right, so since it does start, but then stalls, could we be dealing with a fuel issue at this point? Let's get in here. Got my IM508. We'll take and we'll scan for codes real quick. My X tool is at home. I forgot it there last night. Had to bring it in to charge. Right? What I don't like is that the security light is not flashing. That typically does flash. I don't like how rough everything is. Either. And apparently we got no communication, which is not good. So, and it's raining out. Oh, I turned the key off. No wonder we have no communication. Let's redo this. Try this again. Check engine light is on, so we should have communication with the engine computer, hopefully. If not, we'll choose everything manually. This is an older system, so. All right, so we're gonna go in manually. Toyota. Manual selection. OBD2 port is working. You can see it right there. I got voltage, so. I don't have communication. We have an Echo. There we go. North America. We have a 2000, I believe. Let's check. Well, year 2002. Automatic. Yes. All right, let's see if we can get into the engine in ECT. If not, we'll try getting into another module. And that will at least give us some type of direction. Because the vehicle does start. Oh, it got in. Trouble codes. All right. Igniter circuit, cylinder 1 misfire. The igniter circuit is gonna be 1 for sure. All right, so 2 things that could be going on here, and since the vehicle starts and stalls, I'm gonna try see if I can't get the vehicle up to the garage door so I can kind of drive it in, but I don't know if this is gonna work, so I'll bring you guys right back. Whew. All right, so I got the car inside. What I did real quick is that I have the hood open. I didn't tape it. I just unplugged the MAF sensor. The only reason I did is because it is a 2000 and something's going on that's killing the car, so I just want to see if it stays started. That's all. And it dies out right away. All right. So pulling the MAF sensor did nothing at all. So I want to know what is causing the engine to die out. Are we losing spark? Are we losing fuel? What is it at this point? All right. There might be something else going on too. Who knows? Current, intake air sensor, cylinder 1 misfire detected, and the igniter circuit is going to be inside of that, so I'm not too worried about that. The igniter circuit is going to be inside of the coils on these ones, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to plug the MAF sensor back in. Yeah, the car does not want to stay started. So let's go plug the MAF sensor back in, because obviously that did not do anything. Some cars have very good strategies when the MAF sensor is unplugged, and some vehicles don't. So let's take and unplug one more. Just want to see something. Nothing there. All right, so I'm gonna take the cover off. We're gonna see what type of ignition system is on this vehicle, and we're gonna go from there. All right, so very quick test for the misfire, because I don't feel like pulling out any big tools right now. Oh, that one's tight. Is we are gonna take, hopefully this will take this one off. If not, I'll go get a ratchet. Come on. That one is really tight. Holy. There it is. Okay. I'm just gonna swap coil number 1 with coil number 2. And go from there. I could also do a verification of the spark plug. There might be something going on with that. But let's just start with some basic tests real quick and see if the misfire moves. Oh, well, I think I found our issue with that. We have water. That is not good. Okay, let's check this coil number 2. Coil number 2. Looks like if something got in with coil number 2 also. Looks like a lot of carbon tracking, actually. That's exactly what that looks like. Okay. So we're going to take a look at all these coils then. And I'll bring you guys back once I get the rest off. All right. Cylinder number 1 spark plug. Okay. This one looks like if it's more like blow-by coming out of that cylinder. Where's my light? That's what all that soot was. I'm pretty sure of it. That's exactly what it looks like to me. This cylinder looks okay. This cylinder looks okay. Yeah, but there's definitely blow-by happening in there. I don't know if I could zoom in for everybody. I'm gonna go get my test long, and that'll probably help everybody out a little bit more. But that's exactly what that looks like to me. This vehicle only has 10,000 kilometers, and the other cylinders look very, very nice. So the gap does seem a little bit big on this plug. Quite big, actually. But with that much mileage, I don't see how. Something's not right with that, that's for sure. And all the plugs seem extremely loose for some reason. Like, look at this plug. Okay. Let's go to another one. Sorry about the waviness. I forgot my stand, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me a little bit. Let's check this one out. This one looks almost brand new. And wait. Let's check. Yeah, okay. This one seems a little bit tighter than the other ones. That's for sure. Okay. So, from what I'm guessing, those ones were already removed and they didn't do anything to them. I'm not seeing no cracks, but just all the carbon and dust onto it is not good, that's for sure. So I'm probably gonna just clean that off and we'll see what happens. All the parts stores are closed right now at this time, so not very much I could do. If I could try to get the vehicle running again, that would be good. Yeah, this one's wet. Smells of gas. So I think I'm gonna have to get my test long and we're gonna verify a few things because that's a lot of soot on there. All right, very quick test. Put all the spark plugs back. Adjusted the gap. I don't think that this is gonna do anything, but you wanna know what? There was something wrong. I fixed it. Let's see if it works. I don't think so. No, not at all. Was a little bit better. Let's go and see. At least the vehicle's actually starting now. But it is running rough. And I don't think I have enough time to run to the back to check for... I don't like the smell of that though. When it starts, oh, that is stinky. All right. So, what's next? I could do an in-cylinder pressure test quickly. To see if we have back pressure into a cylinder, which isn't that long to do, so I could probably do that. Actually, I want some live data. Let's see if we can get some O2 sensor data off of this. It's an older system, so I'm not too sure. Doesn't want to start at all. Turn it off. And then it just dies out. Okay. One open loop, short term, long term. Everything looks pretty good there. Okay. What's it missing? When I'm cranking, it's missing something. What's it missing is my question. I'm not getting any other type of codes. I can check the generic OBD2. Maybe that'll give me something different. It is an older vehicle, so. Okay, so what we're gonna do is save. This. Just so I can have a reference. Echo. All right. And from there, we're going to go back. We're going to erase these codes. Because I want to see what codes return. So it gives me a good idea on what's going on. Now the car doesn't even want to start. Okay, check engine light just started flashing. So we'll read codes. Cylinder 1 misfire detected. Igniter circuit 1 and igniter circuit. So it's for sure that we are having an issue on cylinder number 1 for the igniter circuit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do real quick is erase these. I'm gonna go swap coils 1 and 2, and I want to just see if it moves. If it does, it's gonna need a coil. If it doesn't, we'll swap the plugs real quick. Quick test. All right, and from there, we still got to figure out why this car is starting and stalling. All right, it might be something to do with fuel pressure, but at the same time, who knows? Maybe something's rubbing somewhere. Maybe mice got into something. I don't know at this point. Water got into something. Okay, so let's swap coils 1 and 2 and go from there. All right, coils 1 and 2 are now swapped. Let's get back in the car. Codes are erased. Let's see if we can get this check engine to malfunction again. Cylinder number 2. To misfire, we do need a coil. All right, now I want to try to see if you guys can notice this on here also. All right, so it's on high right away, unless that's just a time thing, which it might be. Fuel air timing spark. What could be the possible culprit on this? Okay, let's see if we have some generic data in OBD2, because I did not see any MAF data in live data. Let's go back. Oh, diagnosis. All EOBD. Try to see if we can get some information on this. All right. We'll look at some live data real quick. All right, what do we have here? So short-term, long-term, I'm not worried about those. They're pretty good, honestly. Ignition timing advance. That just changed. Airflow, mass airflow sensor. Let's see what happens at startup. We have a misfire going on, so the number is going to be skewed a little bit. If I can actually get this started. And it doesn't want to start at all. So now it started. Airflow. .98 volts on bank 2. That shouldn't be anywhere near there. Bank 1 sensor 1 is at 0.08. If I start it up, 0.04. If I open the throttle, it seems like if it wants to run, but then it stalls out. Okay. And it really doesn't smell good. So what we're going to do first is check for a dirty throttle. Why? I just don't like the way that the system's acting right now. Even though there is no codes for the throttle system at all. I can actually look at coolant temperature sensor. That's probably a good one to look at. And also TPS. I don't believe that this has APP onto it. It's cable driven, so vehicle's too old for that. Let's go look at a couple more live datas. Okay. Let's go look at a couple more data PIDs real quick. Okay. Engine coolant temperature 33. That seems about right. Short term, long term, engine speed. Absolute throttle position 11.4. If I move the throttle, does it move uniformly? That's the next thing we're going to look at real quick. I don't like that 11%, but anyway. Let's 11.8, 12, 15. Wide open, 78%. That looks about right. Okay. Honestly, the 0.68 I'm not liking. What about bad gas? It's very possible this car might just have bad gas into it also. It only has, well, it has 31,000 kilometers on the odometer. I don't know if you guys see that. So, fuel sample. You can always try it. Let's see. All right, so I have fuel gauge right here. We're gonna take a fuel sample after. Let's just check and see what our rest fuel pressure is at. Well, that's not good. It's either me or it's not moving. Oh. So fuel pressure is pretty steady, but let's see what happens to it. So fuel pressure stays. All right, so fuel pressure stays. We're gonna check and see what the fuel pressure is supposed to be for this nice little engine. I'm gonna take a quick fuel sample. Okay. Got a little paint container here. Hopefully I can get some gas out. None at all. That's not good. And that dropped to 0. Wow. I really don't like that. There's some fuel. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get some fuel out and we'll see how this fuel looks compared to other fuel, which it doesn't look very good at all. Looks more like alcohol. Anyway. All right, very quickly. I have the pressure transducer hooked up to cylinder number 1. What we're going to do is just go in and quickly check back pressure on the cylinder, make sure that there's nothing wrong with that cylinder. Because from what I can tell, we do have spark, we do have fuel, but the vehicle stalls out. Now, the smell that's coming out of the tailpipe I do not like, but that's not really an indication of anything. But to me, there just seems something wrong maybe with the back pressure. This is a vehicle year is 2002. We are 2024. So it's very possible that the exhaust system got clogged. So this is just a quick test. Doesn't take long on these engines. And I'm not hurting anything by doing it. So why not? So we are going to set channel A up to 5 volts. I could probably even do it at, no, I could do it at 2 volts. 2 volts is probably better. 2 volts. We'll put this onto a 200 millisecond division. All right. We will press play. And that should load up all my settings. Now we're just gonna go over, crank the car over and see what gives. We should probably start the car stop the car from starting at the same time. All right, injectors were very easy to get to. Unplug those, unplug the coil that is not being used, so there is no damage that's going to happen to it. Let's get in here, crank this guy over, and see what gives. All right, so that should give me a pretty good waveform. Hopefully. All right. If everything worked. And for some reason, it doesn't look... Oh, well, I'm an idiot. I'm on channel B. Not worried about anything with timing or anything. The engine sounds very nice. Okay. I could probably check the oil level though. That's something else that I could probably do that I did not do. There we go. So, from what I can tell, we don't have anything on the exhaust side. Look at this real quick. Set up some cursors. Zero. 720. Nothing going on with that. I can tell you guys right now. What I'll do is that I'll plug the everything back in. I was really hoping to see something on this, but there's nothing here whatsoever. Okay. I'm not worried about the pockets. You can see that there's a small rise right here, which is very hard to see most of the time. This is where it actually changes. Goes down, comes over. Nothing wrong with that. So, let's plug the injectors in. And that coil. And there's something that is missing on this engine. And from what I could tell, it's not fuel pressure. So I'm gonna have to come back and check this out again because I gotta get going. So I will continue this video another time. All right, so sorry about the noise. I'm gonna make this as quick as possible. I had them order up a coil and I also had them order up spark plugs. Why? Because I didn't like the way the spark plugs looked, and there is a coil that's shot anyway. We did the swap test and the misfire moved. So let's go ahead, change all the coils, change all the spark plugs, and we will redo our test after all the replacement of these parts. That's one. We're going to put our coil back. We might be going back in cylinder, but I'm not too sure yet. So you want to what? I'm going to leave it unplugged. And we're going to go ahead and remove the other coils at this point. And spark plugs. For some reason, the client brought 4 coils when I told him to bring 1. But at the same time, I can't really control what the clients bring me. So we're gonna take that coil. We'll stick that coil there. That was the bad one. On number 2, we'll put another good one. Okay. And plug this one back in. You gotta be very careful with aftermarket parts these days. The quality is so bad that you can buy brand new parts and they don't even work properly. Okay. Boots look like it's a pretty wide though, honestly. So I don't know what. Let's take and change them anyway. Like, look at that. It's a big difference in boots. You know what? We'll put 4 brand new ones. Why not? All right, so brand new coils, brand new plugs. Let's go inside real quick. Start this car up. Try to make sure nothing falls. I don't really have much room to put stuff because I don't have a trolley or anything here. But let's just make sure that nothing falls anywhere. All right. And from there, let's get in the car. They kind of moved the car in the wrong spot, so. What happened here? Oh, there we go. Yep. The key is in the ignition and they kept it on. Oh, they killed the battery. Okay. That's always smart. Anyway, I'll bring you guys right back. All right, got a booster pack on. Let's try to start this and see how it goes. And would you look at that? So that is actually working perfectly now. Bad coils. I'm gonna put the bad coil back into the car and we're gonna see what happens when that coil goes back in. And then I think we're gonna take a scope and we're gonna do a quick scope test onto the, well, not a scope test. We're gonna do a quick test onto the powers and grounds at the coil to see if there maybe not some huge spikes that happen. All right, so let's go over here and go see. Let's go switch that coil over and try this out. All right, so the bad coil was this coil. All right, this is coil number 1. Let's get in here, unplug it, put another coil in, and see what happens. Gotta find the right one. All right, let's see if the car stalls out now with one bad coil. I'm pretty sure that the igniter circuit was causing all the coils to stop, but we'll see. No? Okay. Let's take the booster pack off because that's the only other thing. Unless I grabbed the wrong coil, which is very possible. I was just going to redo my testing afterwards, but if it's working, not very much for me to retest at that point. Could have been bad plugs. Very possible. We had tested our fuel pressure yesterday, and fuel pressure was good, so the only other thing was going to be injection and spark. which is what I was going to do today. But if it's fixed, it's fixed. There's not very much I can do at that point. Let me try out this coil. Maybe this one was the bad one. Let's turn off the key. I would really want to reproduce that just so I could do a quick test. I'll put you guys back up here real quick. Really? I think I'll leave you guys here for a minute just while I go and check. Okay. This is the bad coil. And would you look at that? So I'll bring you guys inside the car. So with that, the coil that was causing the misfire onto the vehicle actually stalls out. So that means that there's probably a short inside of the coil and it's causing everything to go haywire. Let's just show this. And we'll just watch the dash, and there we go. The car just stalled out. Okay? So I can recreate the cause. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to quickly go grab my scope. I'm going to grab my ignition probe. Actually, I don't even think I'm going to need my ignition probe. I think that we should just check the power and ground at the coil and see if there is any major spikes in it. And then from there, if there's not, I believe that there will be. If there's not, then we'll go in a different direction. But let me go grab the scope and I'll set a few things up. Alright, so right now I have the new coil put back in. And I was actually pretty amazed about what happened. Now, I'm just going to show you guys so you guys can see, but all four coils are in, and each coil is brand new. So we're just going to start the car up. Okay, and as you can tell, the car is running, and it's running pretty decent. Okay, for the year and everything, it's not too bad. Now I want to see if I just unplug the coil or a coil, if the engine would die. And I'm just going to show you guys, this is cylinder number one. The engine dies when there's a misfire, which I have never seen before. So I believe that there is something else going on with this car, but it does start. And I don't think the client's going to want to put any more money into it than the coils and the plugs. I don't believe that it's a strategy of the ECM to take and kill the car when you have a misfire on one cylinder. I've never seen that before. If it is a strategy, it's a very odd one. Let's just see if we unplug a different coil, if it does it also. And it does. So it doesn't matter which coil I unplug, the car will stall, which is just very, very odd. I've never seen that before. It's a new one. Trying to wrap my head around this, and guys, they all share a power and a ground, and I don't believe that the power and ground would, I don't believe that anything else could really make it stall out. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm just gonna go on to the trigger wire for the coil, okay? Because this has a IGT and an IGF, and your IGF is gonna be the yellow wire, it's common, okay? Your power wire is the black and red, the white and black is your ground, and the IGT is gonna end up being the green wire on this one. So what I wanna see is that I wanna see if when I start the car and I unplug, what happens to the IGT on that coil? I'm gonna unplug coil number 1 and we're gonna verify IGT number 2. Number 3, sorry. Okay? All right, so this is the IGT. So this is the trigger from the computer in order to get the car started. All right, so what we're going to do, I don't like that. Let's take and put a hold that one down. So I'll bring you guys down so you can see. All right. So this is the IGT onto number 3, which is over here. And I'm gonna unplug IGT number or coil number 1 and see what happens to IGT number 3. And it's there, and then everything just dies. So it's for sure that something is being lost. And for a spark to be lost, that means that the crank sensor is going to end up being lost. But why? Because that's not normal. Well, in my mind, it's not normal. Let's bring you guys back up here. I'm gonna go plug that back in. Ooh, let's just put this like this. I got to tighten that back up. All right. So, but the car is fixed if you want. Okay. Sometimes it's an easy win, and sometimes you're trying to wrap your head around something that maybe you shouldn't really be wrapping your head around, especially when it comes to an older vehicle. But it's for sure that something is being lost, and from what I can tell with the IGT, that means that I'm losing my crank signal, which I could probably check. I don't know what the crank sensor is on this. Maybe when there's a misfire, it's a strategy for it to stall the car on this year. I've never seen that before. I think I can't really say I have done other Toyotas of this year, so something just doesn't add up. Let's look for the crank sensor and see what's going on with that at the same time. Maybe you can try correlate them. So that is all tight. The car does start, the car does run, but why would one coil unplug make the car die out? Unless there's something else going on inside of the engine, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it and it doesn't make any sense. You guys can put up in the comments what you think it might be, because right now the only thing I see is that with a coil unplugged, there's a misfire signal going to the ECM, and the ECM's having a hard time to distinguish what's going on, and it's cutting out cutting off of a spark at that time, which doesn't make any sense at all. But let's see where this crank sensor lives, and we'll go from there. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and I got the crank signal. The crank signal dies out the exact same time as everything else. So, but that's not saying that the crank sensor is at fault at that point. In order to really determine why the car is actually stalling, I would need more diagnostic time, but the client says that the car is running and they don't want to pay for any more diagnostic time than what they already have. So that's going to leave it like this, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video, and as always, I will see you guys next time.